Welcome to the GSMC Pets Podcast, the show that caters to pet lovers of all kinds. We'll talk about pets on social media, pets doing amazing things, and how to take care of the pets in your life. Whether your pet is a dog, a cat, a llama, hamster, reptile, or something more exotic, you'll find educational and entertaining information on the GSMC Pets Podcast.
Well, hello, and thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Pets Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Sam, and just a little ways away from me is my little co-host, Eisen, just napping it up. And, that's okay. He probably wouldn't be interested in this topic today anyway, but before we get to that, oh my gosh, I actually left the house today because I was really wanting some espresso, but I couldn't make my own espresso because my mocha pot just broke, which you guys, you get what you pay for. I only spent like $3 on it. I should have known better. But I went over to the coffee shop and, well, I just got to witness the worst in people, or at least, somewhat the worst in people. For instance, and this is the one that really sticks in my head, the road was very busy, and then I saw one of our buses stop to let people out. And then people started getting backed up, and people started honking their horn at the bus. I don't get it. Just, some people need to go back home and rethink what they should be learning by staying at home for these reasons. But you know what? We are going to move on from that because I really can't handle that right now. But we are going to be talking today about the fastest dogs that people can own and, well, have had a history of dog racing, which is now completely looked down upon. So we are going to first talk about the Greyhound, then the Whippet, the Bedlington Terrier, the Afghan Hound, and this Azawaki dog. I'm mispronouncing it. I'll probably find out how to pronounce it in a bit. But we're going to close with one of the fastest cats in the world, and I think Eisen will probably be very interested in that. So let's start talking. But we do need to get this out of the way. Dog racing has been a horrible thing that has led to abuse towards any dog that is racing. But the most well-known kind of dog that has been abused the most that we know of are the Greyhound. And you actually, like a few years ago, I actually lived close to one of the dog racing places. And I had always wanted to go there just because, dogs, they're awesome. But then as you get older, you start realizing that it's not exactly the best thing in the world. And then you start feeling bad for the dogs. And then eventually, at least in my area, they closed down the dog racing and just completely removed it from Florida State. So, you have that, and then, well, then you have a lot of dogs that don't have a place to go. So, basically, a lot of Greyhound rescues get those retired Greyhounds. And that's always so sad because eventually, well, they're going to be packed because these dogs were bred specifically for racing and for our own entertainment. But I digress. Let's talk about Greyhounds in general. So for one thing, they are probably one of the most regal dogs ever. But essentially it's, a great sprinter. It's gentle, noble, and sweet-tempered, and has a very independent spirit. So, for thousands of years, these graceful hounds have been like an object of attention and fascination for poets, artists, kings, anyone that really can draw inspiration from them. So, for the greyhound, they're actually known by dog breeders for being for breeders being focused on form follows function. And in this case, is basically the greyhound has a fantastic form that makes it great for running, and unfortunately great for running a race, or, I don't know, sitting next to a king, or being used for hunting, because, well, you know, you need a fast dog for hunting, right? But apparently their skull is like narrow and aerodynamic, and also their pads are shock absorbing, so that's pretty amazing. Like, they are definitely made for high-speed pursuit, and it's just, wow, this dog was made to run. And the really great thing about the greyhound too is their lean body, and it's kind of like when you think about runners too, like human runners. Like, they have a very lean body, and their legs are, you know, are thick, basically. And, well, that's kind of the same with a greyhound. Like, you see, you know, this deep chest, and it goes straight down to a tiny waist, like Dolly Parton's. And then you see their legs just kind of beefy. And it's just like they've been training for the moment where they get to go as fast as they can. So it's just, all of this just kind of makes sense for somebody being like, hey, let's race dogs. Because, well, you want to know who is the fastest greyhound in the world, because, well, greyhound, top dog, but who's the top most? Who's the king of the hill? Now, for most of the time, like, I just feel bad for the greyhound because it has such a history of abuse and just retiring when a dog is no longer useful, is no longer able to win races, basically. But, like, when you do adopt these dogs, they are just kind of, like, needing high-quality food, and it's, like, throughout their ages, but they typically require, like, high calories and protein, more so than other dogs. And, well, so you kind of are going to spend probably a lot of money on your dog food for the greyhound, but that's okay, I guess. And just kind of a little side thing, which I kind of love, like, there are products, and I think I'll find these products on, like, every single page for these dogs that I found. Let's see, the greyhound products are, like, a collar and leash with, like, little greyhounds printed on it, a clear phone case, sorry. Man, a clear phone would be very interesting. Kind of makes me think of those old 90s phones, the landlines that you could get. Anyway, that's me aging myself. But in addition to that, there is, like, a greyhound head cork head bottle stopper, which I need now. And, of course, you know, the embroidered baseball caps with the little greyhound head right on top of it. Gosh, out of all of them, I really need that cork head. But the greyhound itself, like, moving on, like, just kind of looking at its history, the focus on greyhounds in history is basically for chasing game, and also for looking noble next to people of authority, to be honest. And they were designed to detect, chase, capture, and dispatch, like any type of wildlife in the Egyptian deserts. So a lot of people were really thinking, oh my gosh, the pharaoh really loves this dog, Well, what about this dog is amazing? Well, they have great beauty, and they, honestly, because of the connection with the Pharaoh in Egypt, well, that's power, the divine power that the pharaohs had, or any ruler had, well, it was basically extended to the greyhound. So it's pretty interesting thinking of it like that. Like, they're noble looking dogs and they look quite elegant. And I just, can't believe that I haven't had a greyhound before, or ever, met a greyhound before. And I don't know, just kind of, calling back to pets and presidents, I just have to say that, man, Rutherford B. Hayes apparently owned a greyhound named Grim. Now, first of all, why would you name something Grim? Is there something wrong with it? Is it going to be like an angel of death? Hopefully not. But, how fast were they? Like, about 30 miles an hour? Yeah, 30 miles an hour, like at top speed. But of course, depending on the dog, they might be going faster or maybe even slower. So it all really kind of depends. Now, we are going to move on to my next one, and this one is going to be quite close to my heart, and mostly because our last dog, Rhodey, was a Whippet mix, and I just find it, there's like a part of me that still feels quite hurt about what happened, but also it's me recognizing a very good dog, a very good boy, and, sharing his greatness to the world. So, after this commercial break, we will be talking about the Whippet. Whippet good.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Okay, we are back, and I just wanted to read this one segment for you guys that really just gives a great picture of what this dog is. It's right over here. So, the sleek, sweet-faced Whippet, the poor man's racehorse, is lightning quick. He's amiable, dignified, and gentle in soul, but if you give him something to chase, he is all business. The name Whippet is synonymous with streamlined grace, and I have to agree with that. Whenever we got to see Rhodey just go all out, and unfortunately, like living in a city, it was a little bit difficult to do that, especially with, not much green space, but a lot of it, they really look like a greyhound, and we had so many people asking, like, oh, is that a greyhound? And then they would give us a weird look when we said, oh no, it's a Whippet. So they're like a greyhound, but they're smaller, and they're not as fast as them. I think they were called like the 30 mile an hour couch potato, which means that the greyhound can go, a bit faster than 30 miles an hour. But yeah, the great thing about Whippets is like they have that sudden burst of energy, and then for the rest of the day, they sleep. They relax. And that was basically kind of like my mood, basically, where I would come home, I would see Rhodey, at the window screaming at me, and we could have sworn that he was always, yelling mom. But, that's beside the point here. But yeah, they have like a deep chest, a trim waist, just like Dolly Parton and the Greyhound. And they have a lean head that's supported by a very long arched neck. That's one of the really big things about them. And they're slim, they have sturdy legs combined with, just being agile and a fleet-footed athlete. So this dog was definitely another type of racing dog that you could see. And let's see, they love to stretch and relax for really long hours, as I said, and they're just very loving, and they love, and they have to have a space to run in because of, it's basically like the Greyhound. It's like shutting them out of and preventing them from really doing what they want to do. And they still do like cozy apartments and smaller places as long as they're, given exercise regularly. So we had a canal that we could walk Rhodey along, and he was just, happy whenever we did that. It would tire him out, which is great. And it says here, another plus for city dwellers, Whippets rarely bark. And I have a feeling that, yes, Rhodey would have probably been a quiet dog if he were strictly a Whippet. But there was this other dog inside. I'm not sure which kind of dog, but it kind of, some research for me was he could have been mixed with a border collie or something, but he was very vocal, and that's something that I both really didn't like but also loved about him. He was a very elegant dog, but also kind of goofy, and they're just really low maintenance dogs unless they get ill. And that's kind of the thing with all dogs when they get older. You just got to take care of them in the best way that you can. So when it comes to breeding them, you have to be very careful because it could lead to enlarged hearts, which is common in hounds, honestly, but they really do need to have that exercise. They might need to be on medication depending on just their heart condition in general, but man, they do really well on high quality dog food. It could be manufactured, or you can even make it yourself, just talking to your veterinarian too. So the diet should be appropriate for the dog's age, puppy, adult, senior. And, well, here's the funny thing. I've actually seen pictures of this, but Whippets, sometimes they're prone to getting overweight. So making sure that you watch your consumption and weight level is very important. And please, look up a picture of an overweight Whippet. And it is the most adorable thing in the world, but also the saddest thing in the world. It's a really mixed feeling kind of deal. But yeah, Rhodey was actually very careful with his size. Very particular about when he would eat. He was a grazer, and some days, like, he would skip a meal, and that would be very concerning. But then we kind of just learned, that's how he eats. We can't make him eat all the time, but he will eat when he's ready. And, I mean, that was one of the very different things about Rhodey, to be honest. Like, he was just very careful about what he was eating. And I have never seen him eat any kind of gross stuff that, honestly, Regina does. But, hey, we're talking about Whippets right now. But here's a really great thing that I'm seeing in their products. Like, of course, they have the Whippet baseball cap. They have a mug that I want to get my husband now, and it says Whippet good. And it has, like, on the other side, you can put the name of your dog on it. So, let's see. Whippet with bunny body earring. What? Okay. But yeah, you can get, like, a Whippet apron, and what else can you get? I guess that's about it. Man, I kind of want more now. But, like, the history of Whippets is kind of basically the template. Well, it was part of the template of future sighthounds. And basically the Whippet was a very successful member of these lightning-fast sprinters. So Greyhound was like the form that you wanted. But then, I don't want to say like honorable mention dogs, but the dogs that weren't the Greyhound, like the Whippet, were still part of that really fast family. And I love Whippets. But anyway, as I said earlier, they are the poor man's racehorse and the lightning rag dog. So a lot of it was just, they're fast, but not as fast as the Greyhound. So let's see, the name Whippet seems to derive from Wappet, an antique word that means a small dog that yaps, which doesn't really make sense based on what the site has already told us, where it doesn't really bark very much. Because, well, Whippets don't bark that much, right? But now, I don't know. Maybe there's like something lost in translation there. But yeah, it's just kind of an amazing thing, these dogs. And like, they were recognized in 1888 by the AKC and to be added into that. And like, I just really can't believe all the interesting things that you can really gather from this dog. Like, it says over here, never snappy or barky, the Whippet is an excellent watchdog. Yes, Rhodey was a good watchdog, but he was like an alarm. Every single time like somebody came to the door, he was like on it. And while they are capable of being extremely fast, like, there are some times when they can even like really, go head to head with a Greyhound. Like, some of them can reach up to 35 miles an hour, which is pretty intense, to be honest. And man, can you imagine your dog just kind of escaping the leash or the harness that you're using, and then they're just off? Man, I will say that for most dogs, actually. They can, if they notice that you're on the ground, it's a possibility that they will just come back to you to make sure that you're okay. And I don't really know why that is the case. I would love to do more research on that and give you guys an idea of why do dogs do that. But either way, I feel like I've been talking about Rhodey so much in this Whippet section, but, that's my own experience, and just, even though he was a mix, he did show a lot of similarities to the things that I've looked at. And I mean, hey, what are we going to be talking about next? Well, let's see. Ooh, the dog that I've never heard of before that was a racing dog, and that's the Bedlington Terrier, which, hey, bed. Oh my gosh, this is so strange looking. Okay, yeah, we're definitely talking about this for sure next. Alright, so we are going to go on a quick break, and, well, we're just going to then talk about the Bedlington Terrier.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco, ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back, and, well, we were just talking about the more popular racing dogs, the Greyhound and the Whippet, and, well, I've also given you some homework to look into the overweight Whippet. Again, it's sad, but also kind of funny. I don't know, there's a lot of fat shaming, unfortunately, but we are now going to talk about a little known breed that was also known for racing and was originally bred for hunting. So, that dog is the Bedlington Terrier. And, well, Bedlington, what is Bedlington? And actually, it was named after Joseph Ainsley, who was basically Joseph Ainsley of Bedlington, so a place. So they wanted to name it based on that. And, well, if you look at this dog, especially one of the pictures where they're all groomed up, they look a little funny. Actually, no. They kind of look like sheep or a lamb. And the thing is with this breed is that it was known for a terrier in sheep's clothing. And again, it liked to hunt a lot. And it was essentially, for this particular first dog called the Bedlington Terrier, it was Joseph Ainsley's first dog that he named, and it was Piper. And this dog, Piper, actually started to hunt at 8 months old. Yeah. And then it continued to hunt and bring down like some really ferocious, I guess, quote unquote ferocious, of otters and badgers, even in his blind and toothless old age. So we know for a fact that hunting is definitely in this dog's blood. And I mean, they're quite quick, and they're also quite cute, to be honest. And, you know, just kind of comparing, like the body of a Bedlington Terrier versus a Greyhound or a Whippet. Like, they have, you know, that deep chest. You know, not as deep as a Greyhound or Whippets, but this deep chest really tapers into this very small waist, but it's not as dramatic as a characteristic of the breed. Like, for the most part, like, they have like a really skinny tail, and just honestly, if you let this dog like grow out its fur and gave it a normal cut, because the picture I'm looking at has like balls of fluffy fur like at the end of their ears. It's kind of weird and cute at the same time. But yeah, it could very well look like a poodle if somebody tried hard enough. And, well, temperament-wise, it's a loyal, charming, and frolicking dog. But here's the thing, with the breed popularity, as I was kind of mentioning earlier, it ranks 141 of 195 breeds. So it's pretty low on the list. Now, the interesting thing is that typically they were bred for, like, being housemaids, being alert watchdogs, versatile athletes, and, well, even now, they're just cuddly little buddies when you're watching TV or listening to music and just chilling all together. But one of the unfortunate things about this dog was that in the mining shires that men would work in, well, these dogs would be in the mining shire, and there would actually be like bets, like dog fighting bets, to basically fight these terriers. And one of the things that one historian that says about this is that, what was it? Basically, quote, Bedlingtons were never a mischief maker, but once he started fighting, it was to the death. So you're putting in, like, a dog that likes to hunt, and you're starting to have it fight against another dog that also likes to hunt. And it's just a very unfortunate madness that comes from there. People did learn, though, that these dogs were much better lovers than fighters. Because, I mean, you have that charm, you have the cute little face, and, well, they have, like, big hearts, they're lovable, and, well, they're also, and this is another quote, attractive ornaments to their style-conscious lifestyle. So, I would definitely agree with that if you keep the grooming up for this dog. But, my gosh, it's just very interesting to see such a dog really kind of morph into like a fancy dog. Because, well, I don't know, it's just, I just think it's cute. But, like, in addition to all this, let's see, Bedlingtons were, they're lithe, they have a very thin body, they're energetic, and just for the people that are looking for a dog, like, they don't shed, for one thing. And for an active family, in addition to, like, the no shedding, because a lot of people, shedding is a real problem, for the most part. Either you get a dog that doesn't shed, or you live with a dog that sheds and brush it regularly, because that's typically what you should be doing with your dog anyway. So, these dogs, in addition to that, they're lively, and they're a loyal companion, and just, if you're interested in that kind of dog, Bedlington Terriers seem like a good fit for you guys. But, I mean, I'm just looking at this, so cute, and, like, they have different, ways that you can find a terrier, well, this terrier as a puppy in their own little search places. But this leads to this entire idea of just it being refined and it's consistent with its form. It just did really shine, and it actually became like a member, recognized in the England's National Bedlington Terrier Club in, 1877. So 9 years later, the AKC registered its first Bedlington. So do the math with me. 1880. Oh gosh, 86. Yeah, I cannot do math right now. But yeah, they are quite an export, and like the Bedlington Northern League soccer team is called the Terriers, just for that. And the town has recently installed like park benches shaped like it's, little, as a Bedlington dog, terrier. So I can't believe that it's not unknown in England, at least. But who knows? Maybe I'm just going a little bit, a little bit anxious about wanting to get this dog now. But gosh, just the descriptions with it seems like a really big survivor. And if I ever chose to, if the end of the world ever came, I would probably really like to have a Bedlington so that I could hunt and then it could help me hunt. But hey, I don't know. I just don't know. But it kind of makes me think of the history. This dog makes me think of the history of the Manx cat, where they were also quite versatile hunters when it came to like being on ships. Like in this case, the Bedlington Terrier is very similar to that, because they were, like working dogs, and like even for like the Romanese, it was basically nicknamed the gypsy dog because it was used by them as a stealthy poaching partner. So all of this, it kind of just adds up to this very smart and quick terrier that, man, I just wish I could meet one in person. Nah. Maybe I can just go and get completely cuddled and smothered by other doggies, I guess. But yeah, just after all that mess of being a working dog and a a fighting dog, it just ended up having a nice, peaceful life, which is fantastic. I mean, can you imagine a very sweet, docile kind of creature being forced to fight each other? Kind of think of pit bulls in that sense, I guess. But yeah, like, we have more dogs to talk about, and some of these you're possibly not going to be familiar with, but, we are going to talk about the Afghan Hound. Yeah. So, already, and I'm sure people are familiar with this dog. I had someone who bred Afghan Hounds and put them in shows and stuff, but, we'll talk more about them after the break.
is weird, odd, strange, or just plain bizarre is really your cup of tea, then the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast will give you that fix. Can't believe it? Well, listen for yourself as we deliver the strangest news you definitely won't find on CNN or Fox. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast.
Welcome back, and we were talking about the Whippet, the Greyhound, and the Bedlington Terrier, and we're going to move on to this next one where I just have to say, this particular dog with it, and it's this picture that I'm seeing right now, the dog is looking straight on at you except for his eyes, like kind of like going out, staring off into another place. Like overall, its posture and its kind of sweet face makes me think of Rhodey, except Rhodey is wearing a wig, if that makes any sense. So sometimes it's going to be a little hard for me to take it seriously if I keep on looking at this picture, but this dog is called the Afghan Hound, and some interesting things about it. Man, let me see. There was one thing that really just made me shook, but it's possibly the oldest breed of purebred dogs, and there's an ancient myth that it was like one of the dogs, the canine species, that was invited onto Noah's Ark. This breed definitely predates like written history by a few thousand years, and it was developed in like the remote parts of the world, so its exact time and place of origin is pretty much unknown, except we know that it was kind of focused in like Afghanistan, India, and Pakistan. We will probably never know. But yeah, the great thing about this dog, it has great speed. It's not particularly a racing dog. It's kind of like the Bedlington Terrier, where it's very fast, but also doesn't really run races. But yeah, Bedlington was a hunter, and the Afghan was also known as a hunter. And they're known for like their rugged, fleet-footed hunting, and they're like a symbol of royals, tribal chieftains, and aristocrats in Asia's mountain kingdoms, which is pretty cool. So they're also known as like sighthounds, and they actually rely on their panoramic vision and ability to just go to pursue their prey, pretty much. So, very interesting thing. I'm just going to have like a digression, but one of my family's older friends, she was actually a breeder of Afghans, and she would take them to shows, and she would be very successful with it. I mean, Afghans are quite, especially when you really groom them and nurture like this standard appreciation for this dog. Like, I'm not surprised, but she had multiple Afghans throughout her life, and you know, the pictures of them were always quite cute, but I don't know, it's hard to really get a feel for an animal when you're only being exposed to like, oh, look how perfect this dog is, look how up to standard this dog is, and that's the only pictures that I saw. So this is actually very, very educational for me too. But I'm going to look at the products that they show. So let's see. A hat. Ooh, a gold cut out pendant. $14K. Wow. Let's see, a hound pendant that doesn't really say what it's made out of. And then Afghan hound embroidered ladies Eddie flower packable wind jacket. Aha. Interesting. But yeah, a lot of it is kind of the same thing going through it. You need to have good nutrition for this dog because it is quite active. And just knowing its personality too is, it's has this appearance of dignity and aloofness, and it's just a very intelligent and independent-minded dog. And, he is also quite devoted and loyal with a charming and lively personality, actually, especially when they're with their people that they really like. So, just basically, like the Whippet in this sense, you need to make sure that you have, basically for all of these dogs, you need to make sure that you have a place where they can just go at full speed, play some fetch or something, just so that they can get out all of this energy from their basically part of their DNA, right? They need to go and they need to run, and just oh my gosh, just like the Greyhound, I'm looking at this now, and they have huge paw pads that act as shock absorbers, but not for the running per se, but it's mostly because of their homeland's quote-unquote punishing terrain. So it also kind of, just back to this aloofness and general, its liveliness. I was saying that if for its owner, and when I say this, it's basically like what a breed expert writes. It's not the breed for all would-be dog owners, but where the dog and the owner combination is right, no animal can equal the Afghan hound as a pet. So it's a lot of matchmaking in that sense, where maybe you don't like how aloof it looks, and maybe it just doesn't fit your personality at all. But hey, it's kind of like an aristocrat. Just you can look at the fur, it's beautiful, and it just, it's gonna need a lot of grooming, because, it has that very thick, silky coat that is really fantastic. It's actually a way to protect them from the harsh climate of mountain regions, and beneath that glamorous exterior is that powerful and agile hound. Apparently it can stand as high as 27 inches at the shoulder. So it is definitely built for hunting. And I'm just kind of amazed and wowed by this animal. I can say that I don't think I would have the correct personality for it. I don't really think so, at least. Because I'm looking for, lively, yes, but it's hard to really say. But I just don't really feel like a connection to the Afghan hound, just by looking at the pictures. But again, this could be like Rhodey in the sense where I wasn't quite sure about him. He was actually choice number 4 with her when we were adopting a dog previously. Oh my gosh, how long was that? 7 years ago. Oh my gosh, it's been a while. But when we were trying to adopt a dog, the first 3 did not really pan out. But then, we ran into Rhodey. He seemed like a good boy, but he wasn't really our top choice. And I have to say that from that perspective, I can understand why maybe I'm having a problem with just looking at photos of Afghans, because, dogs are quite different from when they are, in person. And Rhodey was just kind of like this really excitable, happy dog. Who knows, maybe an Afghan will surprise me in the future, I don't know. But overall, let's see, when was it added to the Kennel Club? Because I want to know. Wow, it's not giving me anything. It must have taken a while, but it did win win in a show a while ago. But let's see. It didn't enter the Western history until the late 1800s. So they were also kind of like the breed for like the British gentry. And there it is. It was registered its first of the breed in 1927, but like early 30s, the breed didn't really catch on to like U.S. breeders and owners. So there's probably like some more history to that. But yeah, something that I didn't know, and it's Pablo Picasso, the painter. Like, he apparently had a dog named Kabul, and he even made like a statue of this dog. It is, yeah. It was a giant sculpture, and it's in Chicago's Daily Plaza, and it sounds like it's pretty fantastic. I need to see a picture of this now, because I'm gonna go crazy. Well, I'll do that later. I have a lot of dog pictures to look at now, I guess. But I think that we need to go on another break. And next, we're going to be talking about this dog. I'm going to try again with this pronunciation. The Azawak dog. It's Azawakh. So, oh my gosh, this dog looks like it's ready to run. But for the time being, I'm going to let you guys enjoy this commercial break, and we'll be back.
The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast, the show that gives you advice on everything travel. We explore places you've always wanted to go, as well as giving tips for traveling in those places. We'll give you advice on the best sites for travel tips, information, and discounts. Join us as we travel the world, explore cultures, and meet new people. The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast has got you covered. Download the GSMC Travel Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Hello. We've been talking about a few dogs, racing dogs or racing type dogs, and we started off with the Greyhound, which is like a zoomer, gotta go fast. And then you have the Whippet, which is I'll go fast until I get lazy, and that's about it. I'll sleep the whole day. Then we were talking about the Bedlington Terrier, which is I'm a lamb, but I also like to hunt. Then, let's see, the Afghan Hound, which is basically my dog Rhodey with a wig on. And now we are down to this next dog, our final dog. And it's definitely a dog that not many people know of, or like according to the this breed popularity scale that the site uses, it either doesn't have a position or it's a 195 out of 195. Not quite sure, but I'd believe it if it's like on the end of the list of being one of the most popular dogs. But I mean, overall, this dog is very interesting. It's huge because it goes up. Like we were talking about the Afghan, and that's a pretty big dog. But to its shoulder, the Afghan's like at 27 inches. For the Azawak, it's actually, for males, 29 inches, and for females, 27 inches. And that's the average maximum, we would say. But this dog is extremely graceful looking. It looks very fine and elegant, but it's actually a really good hunter. And it's basically spent a lot of time being a hunter. And have I even mentioned where this dog is from? Oh, West Africa. So it's a sighthound that originates from the countries of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. It has a very short, fine coat, different colors, but because of its short coat, you can definitely tell it, see its bones and its muscles. It looks very, very delicate, to say the least. But the interesting thing about this dog is that it's actually a tough and durable hunter. And it apparently has been, chasing gazelle across this, quote unquote, the scorching sands of the Sahara for more than 1,000 years. So, very long history, and I imagine that over time, just how this dog has. Now, these dogs were actually nicknamed for its people, basically a tribe of nomads in Africa, and it's translated from their native tongue to sighthound of the free people, which makes sense because these are nomads, and nomads, as you know, basically don't have a particular place they call home. They just kind of go, just kind of wander as a group. And maybe they're going to different places all the time, or maybe they have a set route that they usually go throughout the year. Kind of depends on the group and also the climate. But yeah, the sighthound of the free people is a very good name for it, honestly. But it essentially became increasingly domesticated as creatures that would start protecting the encampment and the flocks from invaders, and they were passionate hunters, and they would actually start sleeping under the same roof because it was kind of a member of the family at some point, which awesome. The major thing is that it started becoming less of a hunting dog because, increasingly there was less prey around, and also, firearms became a thing, right? So, if it were still hunting as much, it would probably, be going after hare, antelope, and wild boar. And all of this is kind of where the agility and stamina of this dog is. And rough and broken terrain was not a hindrance for them, and they weren't really prone to injury because, despite its very fine frame. Now, I have to say, just looking at this picture, it's very, I think people would be concerned of how it looked like. If you were to have this dog in the U.S., and maybe some people do, it's very tiny. Its bones are showing, and for someone that doesn't know about this dog at all, or even a basis know-how of it, they would just kind of assume that this dog is being starved. But the reality is, it's very transparent because of its very lean and fine skin. This is interesting. I'm looking at this Did You Know section, and it looks like the Oswek isn't actually part of the AKC yet. So that kind of explains why you don't see a ranking for it, which is interesting. It made its debut in the United States around the mid-80s, 1980s. I feel like I have to clarify that now. But yeah, it has been able to do AKC events, and it's also part of the AKC stud book too. So it's on its way to becoming a part of it. But gosh, it's one of the words that they use to describe this dog is that it's a very leggy dog, and I really have to say yes to this. It's very leggy. It's a leg dog. I just have to say, man. And the unfortunate thing is that when you look at the products to shop for this dog, you don't get anything that is made with the animal in mind. You had the baseball caps with the embroidered dogs on it. This coffee mug, all that kind of stuff. The little wine stopper. Like, well, here's what the Ozawak has. It has a canine ear cleaning system, puppy teeth pack, a calmer canine anxiety treatment system, and treat dispensing giggle ball. So you don't really get much of a idea of this animal through what kind of owners they might have. Because all of these seem like typical dog toys that people just kind of assume, yeah, there's nothing else. But, yeah, man. There are a lot of pictures of this dog that just makes it look like it's having fun. Overall, this dog is basically an unknown to people. Like, they at least have breed standards, which I guess that's great. I don't really know about the breed standards, and I don't particularly care because I'm not showing dogs. It's great for some people that do that, but I can't really say that I really want to know this stuff. I mean, I guess it's okay to know, but normally I just kind of assume that, the dog is a dog. It may look different, slightly different from, what the dog is supposed to look like, but Rhodey wasn't a full-blooded whippet. Like, why should I know what a whippet looks like when I know that he's mixed? And I don't know, like, for me, I don't know anyone else that tracks it aside from my family friend with the Afghans. But anyway, I gotta say that overall this is a very interesting looking dog, and because I don't know about, really anything about it aside from it being like let's see, how did they describe it? They described it as a loyal, independent, and deeply affectionate dog. And I think that I can at least, accept that with an idea of, like, if I wanted to have this dog, well, here's what I'm expecting. Yeah, this is a very beautiful dog, and I would definitely say check it out. Instantly surprised. I say, like, skeleton and stuff, but overall, this is a fantastic dog that looks like it's great for running. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go on our final break, and with that, we are going to be talking about we've given the dogs, like, all the attention of this episode. Now, I'm going to tell you what the fastest domestic cat is in the world. So, we will be right back.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now, don't bother, what's hot on Netflix, and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back. So, we've talked about all the fast dogs that could be racing, could not be racing, but probably good hunters. But let's talk about the fastest cat breed. And number one, well, I can go through the list of the people. Cats are people, okay? I'll go down the list of the 9 fastest cat breeds. But I'm only going to talk about one, and that is the Egyptian Mouse. That is the number one. So we also have the Abyssinian, the Somali, the Bengal, Savannah, Manx, which, I love my Manxes. The Siamese and Ocicat, and let's see, then the Oriental. So, we are going to talk specifically about the Egyptian Mau. And what's to say, man? Whew, I'll quote this healthypets.com website, and it says basically the Egyptian Mau can run up to 30 miles an hour. So, about as fast as a Whippet or a Greyhound. And his speed combined with his powerful leg strength allows him to catapult into high places. So, for instance, your shoulder, and it's without hesitation. So, I've seen Eisen try to, leap onto something that was a bit high, and there was hesitation with him trying to figure out, how high is this? So, just imagining that with a cat, that seems pretty cool. So what else about this cat? Because, well, apparently the Egyptian Mau kind of looks like a regular tabby. It's easy to take care of, and it has the same patterning as the regular tabby. But let's see. Tendency to shed is moderate. It does need a lot of attention. So social needs is high, attention needs moderate. But let's see. It tends to be a medium size, large. The males are larger than the females, and it's very muscular and strong. So it's a tough boy. So let's see. The coat is medium in length, and it's glossy and soft. It has spots all over its body, and tabby striping on its face, and extremities and its tails. So they also have a flap of looser skin on their belly, which goes from their knees to to hind legs. So, trying to remember what this was for. I'll probably educate you guys later, because I could have sworn I knew the reason why there's that flap. But, that's for another episode. But let's see. They like to sit up high and survey their surroundings, so they're more of a perching tree dweller instead of a bush dweller. And they like to feel like they have complete control of their environment, and being up on that perch gives them that. So in addition to that, they're just strong and very active, but they do have a very balanced temperament. You don't see them going from one extreme to the other in that way. So it's an athletic cat, and just kind of adjust nutrition as needed. So they're great jumpers, climbers, and you basically need to make sure you have perches and trees so that it can focus all of that energy into that stuff. And then, well, there's also a part where you play with the cat or take him on a walk. So it's not just, hey, you got to play with this cat. It's hey, you need to make this cat active. So if you don't have the time for this cat, that kind of energy needed for this cat, then I would say try to look for another cat. And they're easy to care for when it comes to that. They like being brushed, and it's probably one of the easiest ways to add playtime to this. So I'm not sure how to visualize that, but I don't know. I'd have to read into that a little bit more. Historically, it's kind of this combination of tabbies, that, for one thing, in Egypt, cats were depicted as a very powerful and amazing creature that needed to be worshipped, essentially. And by 1953, a noblewoman, returned to Italy from Egypt with a tabby cat. And then this little tabby cat was bred to a male tabby that was also brought to Italy from Egypt. So around this time, there was this original pair brought to the U.S. by this noblewoman, and then at this point, the Egyptian Mao was created. And Mao, my cat goes Mao, so obviously means cat. Well, not obviously, but it sounds like it, right? It seems very intuitive to assume that it means cat. So the resulting breeding program in the United States produced cats that appear to recall the ancient tabby cats. And, well, eventually, 1958, the Mao was recognized, and also in 1992 in Europe. So there's a lot of interesting things that go on here, but my God, cats are insane. This cat in particular, can you imagine just kind of waking up and seeing this cat, above you on its perch? Or, you know what? Actually, here's what you probably need to do. I've seen this before. It's like a hamster wheel, but it's bigger. And, I think I saw it on Jackson Galaxy or something with his My Cat from Hell series. And, there was a big hamster wheel. And they would basically train this Bengal cat, and we know how active those cats need to be. They basically got this wheel for the cat, and it really helped with its behavior, to be honest. And it was a good way to burn off energy, especially when you don't really have a lot of time on your hands. And another thing that they started to do with this episode's cat was taking him on regular walks. So leash training is probably going to be a good idea for your Egyptian Maos if you were to take one in. So, overall, this cat, I don't know. I have my favorite cat over here. And I'll probably, if we had the choice, if we found another Manx cat, we would probably go for it and, have another baby cat pretty much. Well, not another baby cat, because we only have one baby cat, and that's Eisen. So, if there was another Manx, we would probably go for it. And just imagining how intense, the activity of an Egyptian Mao has, and comparing it to Eisen, Eisen is a pretty chill cat, and we like that level of chill. So I can't really imagine doing something that is too active like this one cat. If it's number one for being the fastest cat, that also means it's number one at being, I don't want to say annoyingly active, but yes, very much so active. And we're just not that kind of people, unfortunately. I wish. But there you go. I have to say that maybe a long time ago I would have been interested in this cat, but I didn't really know how intense the relationship would be. And I guess that's okay. At least the Manx is around the top 9 of the fastest cats. I could at least, accept that and be happy. And maybe try to push Eisen to his limit now. But he is 13 years old. I think he just wants to do the best that he can and just hang. Just like any other cat would want. So, I just don't know. What do you think, Eisen? Oh, you're feisty. Okay. I think he's offended that I think he's not as fast as the Egyptian Mao, which, hate to break it to him, just, you gotta let experimentation, come with the solutions to these problems. And obviously, he just didn't make the cut. But anyway, we have had a nice long talk about these animals, and I honestly kind of encourage you guys, if there is a racing dog rescue that you can go to, I would probably say go ahead and check it out, especially if you're looking for a dog. And I cannot imagine how good it would feel to really be able to take in a dog that was just used its entire life up until it was not useful anymore. So, there's that. And, I mean, also, maybe you'll appreciate your lower energy animals too, because, well, our slow boys are slow boys. But, oh, Eisen, please don't bite. But yeah, I just really think it would be a great thing for more people to adopt. And again, I'll talk more about adopting versus shopping and the ethics of it. But yeah, I would definitely say check this out for people. Like, I know that there are links on the AKC website that you can go to that has like ways that you can adopt animals. I don't know if they're looking, they're probably going to be going for like purebreds, but there are also like just a Google search will send you to a nice list of rescues that do have like just dogs in need. So I say keep in mind that. Now, unfortunately, time is up, and well, Eisen is settling down for a nap, so I guess that's my cue to stop. And, well, I just wanted to thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Pets podcast. And again, that was brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. We would absolutely love if you would subscribe and also leave us a review. We absolutely love reviews, and also we love it when we can also get like pictures of cats, dogs, parrots, lizards, snakes, anything. Like, please share with us. And you can share with us at our Twitter, our Instagram, and also our Facebook page. Definitely follow those. And, of course, I will be posting pictures of my lovely pets, too. So, I think that I will let you guys go. And I want to thank you for listening tonight. And have a good night. Okay?
You've been listening to the GSMC Pets Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all of the shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, from business news to weird news. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's podcast.